The cloud. Welcome to the Leighton inclusion, where we talk about the difference between kindness and cruelty with an emphasis on kindness. And today we're going to talk about creativity, relationships, music, ambition, determination, healthiness, animals with Cyndi Dawson. Hi, Cyndi. How are you?
Hi, how are you? It's
I'm
good to see
good.
your face. We've talked so much and I've never seen you before.
I know, and I'm excited to see you too. Cyndi is a leader in the New York City rock community. Her band, the Cynz, has been called the closest thing to the 1970s CBGBs you'll ever get from a band that, and it's the truth. And you're going on your 16th year now with a new
Yeah,
album.
it is the 16th year. I can't even believe it myself.
It's
It's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, especially these days when you think about bands, they come and they go so often and we just keep, soldiering through.
How do you keep a band together? And it's the same, pretty much you and a guy named Henry,
Henry
right?
Seiz, yeah, Henry Seiz.
He's
I
a
think that's why we're still together because we tend to have the same members for the most part. We have fill-ins that have been with us for a long time too.
Sure, New York.
Um, but the thing is when it's only two of you that are you're running the business and you're the only songwriters. This way, if somebody needs to leave we don't fall out with people really, but if somebody needs to leave or for any reason they've got other gigs that they have to do and they can't stay on with us. Nobody could say, I'm taking these songs with us, and you don't fight, you don't fall out over that. So, what we have are people that play with us and they're paid. And then Henry and we're the ones under contract with Jem. And it just seems to simplify things to make it a lot easier to keep a band together.
Yep, yep. And Jem Records, Jem is a classic a classic rock label. I
It's
remember.
pop, more of a pop punk rock. It's kind of more on the. I don't. They tend to like power pop at Gem.
That's true, they do. And you're on a David Bowie compilation with who? Who all's on that? A bunch
So
of.
every year, Gem puts out this thing called Gem Celebrates. I think I missed the first two. I wasn't signed yet. I think it was John Lennon and the Beach Boys. And every year they celebrate a particular singer-songwriter or somebody who was in a band but wrote the songs. And everybody on the label will contribute a track or two to the album. Well, the first one we did was Ray Davies. The second one we did was Jagger Richards. And then we did the David Bowie one.
Cool, cool. And that's this year, this last year or this year? I'm
It would be
really
2025 was
okay.
the David Bowie, but it was late in the year.
Can I ask you who you're working on next year for the
No,
end of this year?
it's sworn secrecy. We're not allowed to tell.
Oh
I
well.
can't even tell my friends, and that's like the toughest thing. I'm not allowed to tell.
Back in the 1970s, and I'm going to date myself because and I know that I knew Jem from the 1970s. They
Yeah.
had this is my coming of age album, the Intergalactic Touring Band that Larry Fast put together, and Annie Haslam sang on it, and I know that you're a fan. You enjoy her music. Benny King is on it. The late Dave Cousins, Pepe Marcello from the Good Rats. I'm not sure if he's still with us. Meatloaf is also singing on it.
Mm.
And it's they wanted to make it into a movie, but this was my coming of age album, and I just loved it so much. And hearing it on the radio was just mind blowing. So
Well, I
yeah.
know my first knowledge of Gem at all was when they brought the Cheap Chick Trick Live at Budokan album to America, and that album
Uh-huh.
was every teenager's the Robin Zander and I
Oh,
can't think of the.
Graceful Kids too.
Oh, I mean, they were everybody's heartthrob. I mean, Cheap Trick was like the bee's knees at the time. And I remember that album. That was the first time I ever saw Jem. And I couldn't possibly have known at that time that one day that little logo would have something to do with my own life. But they actually were in distribution then. And Henry, who's my co-founder in the band, he actually worked for Jem in those days. So
Ah,
he would deliver the deliveries to the warehouses, and he had this box that was in storage, and he had the storage space for years. And I said, you're really wasting your money. Let's go through the boxes and see what was in them. And he had boxes of the most priceless records that Jem brought over from Europe, and really, really cool things. And I said, well, you can't ever get rid of these.
no, no. Oh my God, I want to know what was in them. So I want
One
to.
that fascinated me was the Beatles' Sergeant Pepper album. It was a smaller version of an album. I don't know what you call those smaller albums. It came in a smaller size and had a different cover.
Like, what would a comparable size be?
Well, think of a regular album. The size of
Right.
a regular album in America. This wasn't a 45. This was an actual album, but maybe if you shaved off an inch and a quarter from each side of a regular American album, it was that size.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
had the coolest cover that you would never find in America.
Let's segue into your album, which is also on Gem, Confess.
Yeah.
And there, some of the songs have reminded me of some of my journeys. Woman Child, which
Mm.
starts the album, it reminds, it's like that's your lyric, and I know that you once recorded that in a different way, right?
Well, we initially put out two singles of the album, Heartbreak Time and Woman Child, because um, the album was just taking so long to make, not due to any problem with the songwriting or anything like that. The studio that we were recording at is just very popular, and they were busy with other people's work that needed to be finished, including their own. And so the album was taking really long to make. So my label put out a couple singles within, I guess, 3 months of each other. And so they were remixed. They weren't changed all that much. They were
Oh,
just remixed and mastered differently on the new record, on the new
so
album.
it so it would flow with the album
Yes, exactly.
record making.
Mm.
And what's the song about? Woman Child.
Woman Child is for any woman who grew up as a child with an absent father, or a father who was physically there, but or had an abusive relationship with their father, which I did. Um, it's about growing up and never really being able to lose that little girl that still needs to. Um, you're growing up, you're an adult, and you're responsible, and you're a woman, but you still sort of need that kind of love from someone to just maybe hold you and make you feel safe, or
Right.
just I know it's not kinky or anything like that. It's just about that certain kind of love where you feel safe with somebody, that they wouldn't ever hurt you
Yeah, yeah.
or abuse you, or that they will hold you when you have your moments when you need to be held that way,
Yeah.
feel comforted. Or I mean, I hate to use the term daddy issues because it's so stereotyped, but I understand. I spent a lifetime trying to understand my relationship with my father, and he's given me a lifetime's worth of songs to write. I'm getting a little bit
Mm.
tired of writing about things about him as it is, but that was more of a not so much about him, but just about the kind of love that I am needy of because of that.
Yeah, and you know what? We all need some kind of love. And I can relate to that, having certain daddy issues, if you will,
Yeah.
and just finding ways to go, okay, where do I find it? Or how do I give it to myself or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
but it's a lifetime journey to work through all that stuff. And And I also have friends like women who have had horrendous relationships with their mothers that, and on some other level with their girlfriends, are looking for friends that are trustworthy or that don't criticize them too often, or
Mm.
we all have our childhood stuff to work out. And the thing is oh, I love that your cat was is there. Um, the thing is to look for healthy ways that, I mean, there's another way that some women do that, and that's to be in abusive relationships where the men treat you the way your father did. And
Right.
I went through too much therapy in my life to have to get to that point. I would never want to relive things that I'd been through. So it's been like a healthy struggle for me to find love and find goodness, without acting like a child in my adult life. You could be a child
Right.
in moments, but I don't need to be a child. It's
I
worth.
remember before we started the interview, I mentioned how some of my bosses were hard ass to me, and I thought, oh, they're making me work harder. They're challenging me. And while that helped me be a better worker and uh, just grow my craft, I think that is probably my aim to please, or our aim to please our parents. But it has a plus side and it has a negative side.
Mm. Boss
Um,
kind of also like another layer of daddy on some,
yeah,
and when they criticize, it could trigger that feeling of abandonment, almost like you just want to be loved. I raised a daughter, so it was very, very important to me that she had a father that was going to nurture her in the right ways, like just give her confidence and healthy love so that when she grew up, she'd have healthy relationships.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, it's true. This is all psychology, but I swear, like a lot of it really, really is true. And, uh, but when I was young, I had a gymnastics coach and he was a father figure. And then I had bosses and they were kind of like father figures. It is a sort of this pattern that you could fall into. But I think if you become this person who tries harder to get them to like you or like your work, or, think you're good and you're worthy of keeping, then that also helps you in work. So it's not really like an unhealthy thing, because you're a success, and people speak very highly of you. So whatever it was that pushed you and gave you that type A personality to be successful and to prove, some people will just quit jobs. They wouldn't be able to handle somebody being,
Yeah,
you push through.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like for years, too long. And yeah, and you do get better at your work that way. But it does I think in certain ways it probably came at an emotional cost. Um, Thankfully, our society is set up that we have therapists,
Mm.
and that's a good thing.
Or you have a good friend to talk to who's very small.
True, both, both,
Yeah, both.
a bunch of good friends,
Yeah.
and then you have cats and dogs. So
I
there
think
you go.
dogs are the most therapeutic of them all. They calm you. They calm you down and they center you. And the thing about pets is they're so dependent on you. You can't lay in bed and be depressed and not get up and feed them. You have
Right.
to get up and do your responsibilities with animals. They get you out of bed. They cuddle you when you're sad. So it's impossible to just stay, you know, miserable around them. They're going to make you laugh. They're going to make you feel loved. So that's could save you a lot of money with the therapist, is just get a couple cats.
Totally. And they'll also make you fall in love with winter when you walk the dogs, because you have to walk every day and you see them so happy and bouncy in the snow.
Well, my dog is not.
Oh,
My dog is a little Yorkishan. He's a Yorkie Bichon, and he does not like water, and he does not like being cold, and he doesn't have fur. He has hair like a human. That's why he has to go to the groomer. So he needs to I have to put on in the middle of the night. I got to put the coat on. I got to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on him so I know to get him right back in after he does his thing. Uh, he doesn't like winter. However, I do anyway. I love this.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the cold so much, but I love it when it snows. It's cozy.
I want to ask you about the song Impossible Ending because it seems to be about relationships.
It is.
Ah,
Yeah. Uh,
what's
Impossible Ending. I'm trying to go through each song in my head that you bring up. Uh,
good?
Possible Ending is about, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, when two people are really in love, but they can't make it work. They just can't make it work. And it's like, and when you get in a fight with somebody and you're like, that's it, we're done, we're over. And do you really want that? And then you realize you really don't. And then you'll go
No,
for a while, and then it's, there's like the argument in another few weeks. It's relationships are so complicated because if it was simply about love, then nobody would have a problem.
right, right.
But you got two unique individuals with two unique personalities, and over time, nobody stays the same. I mean, it's impossible.
Sure.
Oh, there are those couples they've been together forever, and they miraculously stay in love, and nothing. We never fight. I don't know if it's my personality or what, but I have been in very intense relationships in my life, and all long term, so I've never really dated or anything like that. And there was one relationship I was in that was young and intense, and I mean completely and 100%. And after 8 years, he drowned. But I remember thinking at the funeral, looking at him laying there, thinking like, all the times that we would fight and break up, like if we knew that in 8 years it was going to come to this, we would have been different. And that did change me.
Sure, sure.
I really try now to look at uh, these impossible endings that happen in life. And I try to not have one of them if I can avoid, uh, the pitfalls that bring it to that.
Yeah,
That's basically what it's about.
a lot. I mean, there, I'm, as you're talking, I'm imagining and reflecting inside me on some of the relationships that I've had where a couple, two, one that really meant all the world to me. And periodically we would argue, but I felt like connected with this person. I was doing the Lord's work practically because this was a person that just deserved all the love in the world. But in the next breath, I felt like I was servicing Satan or something like that because of his temper. So, but it was love hate, and here we are in the future, and it's like if I had done this or if I had done that, it would have been saved or something like that. But
Sure, you now because you're mature. You over time we learn things, and it's easy to say if I had done this or I had done that, but maybe at that point of your life you didn't know what to do. And
right,
if you could go back in time, which we can't,
no,
and things over, we may do them differently because we know more now. You know,
yeah,
more life experience now. But these impossible endings are just you cannot believe that when it happens that it's over. It's like
yeah,
impossible. How could we have gone from these two people in love to this? Where does love go?
right, right.
Energy, where does it go? And
And yeah. But then again, it might be love because what about the kid that's crossing the street without any supervision and he's 4 years old and mommy goes, no, and grabs the kid and swats them. The mommy is telling the kid the truth. There are times where my apartment was super messy, and I had a friend that said to me, hey, you're a slob. Do it, fix it. I can't come in here anymore. And that was a wake up call.
mm,
on,
Maybe your
oh,
friend could go to my daughter's house.
I'll help her. I'll help your daughter. Give her my advice, what worked. I could do it. I could be gentle.
I think, life is a process. Everybody's journey is their own, which is one of the reasons why, uh, everybody's a know-it-all online. Everybody knows to tell you how you should think, how you should live, but
Yes,
really, it's like religion, and I don't want to get into a thing about religion necessarily because
we won't.
to me, it's everybody's journey is their journey. It's like you could take this several roads to get to the same destination, but it's your journey. And so for people to tell you how to do it, it's like, don't waste your time telling me how to believe and think and do, because it's something you should be doing for yourself. You should be
Absolutely.
having that journey for yourself. And if that person said that to you at a time you weren't ready to hear it, you probably would just went, too bad for you. Then I guess you won't be coming over. But you had to be at a point in life where you wanted to change.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to, oh, I'm being challenged to improve something about myself that I wasn't aware of, or do better at work. And so I was lucky
Do
at
better
that.
at work, do better at home, do better as a friend. I mean, look, I think it's a wonderful thing that you have this thing called life, that you have this chance to learn stuff along the way and do better as you go along the way. Some people may never do better. Some people may never evolve or grow, and that's where they're at. That's where they're at on their journey. And if it
Yes,
doesn't suit you, and like especially in a relationship, if they're not growing at the same rate as you, then eventually there's going to be that impossible ending because it's just the way life is.
that's true. That's so true. That's so true. Because I can't go to some of these relationships and say, do you realize how stupid you are? Or go to uh, a good friend that they may be in cahoots with or hanging out with, and say to that good friend, be careful with this person because she or he is a monster or abusive or something like that, because I'll be the crazy one,
And they
probably.
won't listen to you anyway. It's only until something happens to them that they'll get it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Funny.
True.
I love chatting with other women because it just seems that we look at things very deeply. Not that I don't with some of my guy friends, but women have this intuitive energy and wisdom. The world isn't as physical as a man's world, and I'm talking like just in general. I know there's exceptions, but
Of
men
course.
tend to be more related to the physical senses, and I think that women are more related to the heart and the intuitive process. And so what's frustrating for us, especially with men, is that we kind of have an intuitive feeling about things and what might not be good for them, and then we tell them, and they're like, "You can't tell me what to do. You're not my mother." And
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
so it makes it so difficult sometimes, to share a living space with them, because we communicate on such different levels.
Right, right. And our values might be different as well. I want to win and I will win at any cost, or I want to win fairly. And
Mm,
are you changing the rules? Do I have to change the rules or not? That type of thing.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is my father's gun topical?
Yeah. It is.
Ah,
It wasn't I didn't want to do that song for a long time because of the subject matter, but um Henry came to me one day
mm-hmm.
and he said, "You know this song that you gave me long ago?" He goes, "I came up with this riff and I really like it and it just goes really well with this song." And I was like, "I don't know if I want to record this song because it's so depressing." And
Right.
and he said, "Well, listen to this." And he played me what he heard in his head, and we had tried to work on it before and we weren't really getting anywhere. So I put it away for years. And then for some reason, as happens with us sometimes with songs, it clicked that night. We put that song together that night. And I was like, oh God, every time I sing it, I'm going to be thinking about, but then I realized, as an artist, whether you're a painter, whether you're a singer, whether you're, uh, somebody who does photography, you might take a picture as a photographer, some horrific thing that you came across, some horrific situation, war, something. You may not want to see that again in your head, but now this picture got in the paper and now it's a famous picture. As an artist, you have to be willing to go there with things. If you're not willing to go to the deepest parts of your psyche and
Right.
explore them, then you're not really going to create the best work you can from within yourself. So I'm okay with it now. I purged it. It came out. It's a song. It's in our set list. We sing it every time we play out. Um, but I made sure that after we sing that song, we do a really fun one afterwards, so I can go back into like a more equilibrium, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. What are you expressing in it?
Uh, I had a father who I think today would have been diagnosed as bipolar. I don't
Sure.
think men of his generation went and got help. And
No, they
I
didn't.
I think that he absolutely was bipolar and also self-medicated with drugs and alcohol.
Ah,
So there was a gun in our house. And I looked like my mother. And I had a fight with my mother when I was 14 or 15, and I moved myself into my father's apartment while he was at work. He didn't know. When he came home and he saw me there, he wasn't thrilled. And then as I turned 15, I really started to kind of blossom and look more like my mother. My mother was a very beautiful one. I'm not saying I was beautiful, but I looked like her. And also that coincided with me being maturing, going through adolescence.
sure.
He just snapped on me. He just snapped on me, and he had a gun in the house, and he had beaten me up so badly one day. Um,
Oh,
and I was sure I was going to die that day. I was absolutely sure I was going to die that day. And I remember thinking, like, this is it. I wasn't feeling pain while he was punching me, but I was just aware that this is it. And somehow I got out of the house and ran to my neighbors, and my school had me taken out of that house.
oh,
Uh,
sure.
and At that time, my mother had moved to a different state, and I had all my friends in my town. So I, at 15, moved in with my girlfriend and her single mother. I had the basement, which was unfinished and cold, but I had a cot down there, and they were nice to me. But she said, you have to work and you have to pay rent. And I did. Every weekend I worked at the local bakery. And
Good.
the thing was, they said you can't go back to your father's, the school. When they actually allowed me to go talk to somebody that the school had, a psychologist at the school, and they said, listen, we will back you. And I was really smart. They wanted me to get a scholarship. They said, but you cannot return to your father's house. And I kept going back to visit, thinking something would be different. Maybe he would.
Right, right. They would change.
And nothing changed. And so finally, but I remember that gun got stolen and it was used in a crime.
Oh, how scary.
And used it in a crime. And it really gave me a distaste for guns and the fact that, yes, I believe in the Constitution and all that. But the thing about guns is, even the good people go through divorces, go through mental breakdowns. They don't know they're going to go through all this when they purchase the gun. And in a very weakened or angry state, you do something with that gun that you'll regret the rest of your life. You know,
Yeah, yeah, there is. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with it. On one hand, I need to protect myself, but on the other hand, at
why
what cost?
amendment. I just think in a house with children, in my town, a little boy brought his friend over, and
Ah,
they were like, I think 7 years old. And the kid came home after school with the kid that lived there, and his father had been cleaning the gun and left it on the table. And the little friend picked it up and shot the boy, thinking it was like a toy.
yeah.
Killed him. So I'm all for people being able to protect themselves. I think that that's what the Second Amendment allows for. But they scare me because I grew up with the threat of one all the time. Right
Yeah.
on the nightstand. It wasn't legally locked up as they're supposed to be. And then even if they're legally locked up, if someone comes and robs you at night and you're in bed, you're going to say, hang on 1 minute, let me go to the safe and get my gun. Give me a second to unlock the safety place my gun is. No, it doesn't work like that. So I didn't want one in my own house, but I've never told somebody who has one
Right.
that you shouldn't have one. If you know how to use it, if you are responsible, if you don't have like little kids and you're irresponsible, uh, then
Yeah.
you live in the Bronx. Like, of course, you're a woman. You live alone, I assume. I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that you're a single woman living alone
That's a good assumption.
in the Bronx. I mean, of course, you want to be protected because you live in a city and things happen. Even in the suburbs and in rural areas, things happen. I have friends that lived on a farm and it was very rural. And she said, look, there's nobody around for miles if something happens at my house. And you know, uh, they had a lot of animals and horses and this and property. And they said, we have to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Of course I get that. But my father's gun was about a situation where the gun was always a threat. And it was always a threat to my mother and always a threat to me.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I I hear you. There's a Tom Petty cover, and I think everybody from every generation. I mean, he's become such, his music has lives on. But you chose a different kind of, not one of the usual Tom Petty songs. What is it?
I just love You Wreck Me.
Hmm.
Second I heard it, and I'm a big Tom Petty fan.
I
And
know.
I've always loved Tom Petty. And um, so the first time I ever heard that song, I was just like, wow, I would love to do that song one day. And it was always in my head. One day I want to do that song. And I mentioned it to Henry, and he goes, well, let's do it. We don't really do a lot of covers because we write our own songs.
Right.
So one day I just blurted it out, and he goes, yeah, let's do it. It's a great song. And I'm like, I can't do Tom Petty. I'll ruin it. How do you, like, Tom Petty songs are good enough. And I felt that way about Bowie. Bowie scared me. Doing Bowie was terrifying for me. Um, but we went ahead and did the song, and I wasn't sure what the response to it would be. Actually, Meg Griffin played it today on Off Show.
Yeah, and I bet you that is so cool. Meg. Yeah, thank you, Meg.
If you could have told me back when I was still in school and I was listening to NEW and PLJ and all those, when radio was just FM stations that you listened to with all
Right,
our,
right, right. Yeah.
you would have said to me back then that one day Meg Griffin was going to play you on the radio, I would have said you're out of your mind. So that was really, really special. And that was this afternoon. So I'm still floating on that one. And she
Yeah.
loved
She's got she has such amazing eclectic taste. And I have to confess that back in the 90s, she hosted a animal rescue show at CB's Art Gallery for
yeah,
My Artist and Me.
yeah, I played
And
a
what?
I actually played our band early on, did a show in that space.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, when it became Riff, it was no longer the gallery, it became Riff.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
wow.
Short time it was Tommy Hilfinger's brother, Andrew, had a clothing store there called Riff. And the girl who was managing it loved my band and asked us to come and play. And we did, and we got paid in clothes because I could have never afforded those clothes anyway. And
Nice.
exciting. I still have the clothes were designed for like Aerosmith and Liv Tyler and but it was great. But yeah, that's great. So who
Were you?
who
Yeah.
performing there or who had a
We Katie Mack sang, and Katie is still rocking, and she's in animal rescue. And down the line, she'll be on my show. And Rick Soshin and Nancy and Richard Heyman. And then afterwards, we went to Nancy and Richard's and listened to a bootleg Bob Dylan interview that Richard had. And we went to their place, and they were major animal rescuers then. I don't know if they still are.
And my three cats were not traditional rescues, but they were ferals. That the week that I got my dog, the very
Right?
week that I got my dog as a little sickly puppy, a cat dumped her three kittens on my deck and looked at me and said, "They're yours." And so I got four pets in 1 week.
Oh, wow. Family.
I'll have them all. They're all 7 years old now. And the dog and the three cats they're always one big fluff pile. They love each other.
That is such a blessing. And we're all the animals can love each other. I have two cats that are totally at one with each other. They're brother and sister, but my mother cat, or my original female cat and my original male cat, are kind of aloof with them, and they'll start growling when the two new cats, the brother and sister, come near them.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're working it through. No major fights, just stay away from me.
Daddy issues. So maybe they'll get along with them eventually. They'll win them over.
Oh yeah. I mean, these are relatively new additions, and
Yeah.
there's no fighting that goes on, thank God. But
Yeah.
there is a territorial sizing, and they'll get it. And I'm crazy over all four of these cats. I've never felt at one with so many cats. So it's like, come on, guys, please love each other,
I
please, please.
know, right? And they all have different personalities. When you live with multiple animals, the thing that's always so incredible is that, when you see a cat on the street or you go to somebody's house and they have a cat, they're like cats, like it's almost like all cats just kind of feel the same. But when you live with them, you
Mhm.
realize not only do they have the same, like very distinct personalities. One's the funny one's the shy one is like the aloof one, but they have different voices. And I have a pet door because my
Right.
cats were rescued at 4 months. They were so feral that I was told they would never really make good pets. So I put in a pet door because they wouldn't use litter boxes. So to
Uh-huh.
this day, they will not use a litter box, but they will go outside and do their thing in any weather. And they're really clean. They're really wonderful. So we have a pet door for them to come and go as they please. Uh, but I know when they enter, they always announce themselves. And I know I could be sitting in another room and I know exactly who came in by the sound of their voice.
Right, right.
Crazy.
So are we're outdoors, like you're off major streets? There's no major street. I mean, when they
No,
go outside.
I live in Central Jersey in a house. I got a backyard deck. They
Uh,
mostly stay. I have woods across the street and they're at peace with all the animals in the woods. There's a fox, there's deer, and they all seem to be very aware of each other and they respect each other's
that's
territory. It's
that's you then.
it's really cool. Like they mostly are indoors, especially in the winter. In the summer, they go out and they hunt a lot. I mean, that's the one thing I'm not used to because I always had house cats. These
Mm.
animals will bring my dog a mouse almost every day and drop it in his food bowl, thinking he's just a dumb cat that can't hunt. And they brought me snakes, they brought me rabbits, they little babies, and we rescue as many as we can. So we actually have formula in the house and boxes and things to rescue baby animals when we can. We've rescued
Mhm.
squirrels. We're not supposed to do that legally, but we do. Uh,
Oh,
we've rescued a lot of different animals. If we catch a mouse, we just bring them out to the woods. My neighbors are used to me in pajamas running out in the middle of the night. One time I had spaghetti tongs and a snake screaming as I'm running across the street to the
oh,
woods in my pajamas. And they're like, there goes Cyndi. But we try to save as many as we can. You can't always. And that upsets me. I'm not
sure.
that. Like, I don't like things coming home and then they'll die in your hand. You'll finally catch them and then it dies in your hand. And that's sad.
Yeah, yeah. I had one animal rescue that was all pussy, and we took her to the vet, or him to the vet. I wasn't sure, but the cat was euthanized. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just every living thing to me has a personality. I had a pet mouse once and it had such a great personality. So I don't even snakes I could do without, but it's a living thing. I'm sure it has its personality. I just don't want them touching me.
I hear you. Yeah, no. We'll save that for Alice Cooper and his
Yeah,
band.
yeah, exactly.
So, have you gone to concerts for national, international artists that blew you away and inspired you as a performer?
It's a good question. I used to go to shows all the time, and then I got so busy with my band, and I tried to support a lot of the bands that, that are local too. I have not yet seen this guy, but have you heard of Jossie? Gyasi?
I
He
have
had
seen the name.
oh, his last two albums were so good that was he's like a if you put together in a bowl, you mixed Bowie with T-Rex with Led Zeppelin, you'd come out with Jossie. And he doesn't not admit that he takes influences from those people.
Sure.
He even borrows some words and licks, but he admits it, but he does it with his own thing. And he to me, he's one of the more exciting bands. I've been to see the Struts recently. I love the Struts. I think they're an exciting, younger band. Who else? I see a lot of local bands. So I'm trying to think of
Cool.
big names. Ooh,
Local bands are cool to promote.
Lucinda, Patty,
Mm,
women. You got to see the women.
yes.
I can't think of a major concert I've been to in a while.
Some of your music reminded me of what was my favorite band growing up, which is the Runaways. And you're like a punk rock Lita Ford, I think.
Oh wow, that's a great compliment. Thank you.
She's,
It's
yeah, to me,
funny. When I was young, when I was in high school, I had like the blonde punky haircut, um, not as punk as hers, but it was the same sort of style. And everybody compared me to her. They used to say, "Oh, you look just like Sherry Curry," and I'd be like,
oh,
"Thanks," because I loved that band. I
me
guess
too.
there must be influences in my head because I've always loved the band. I think when you create your own music, there is just no way not to create stuff that was all the combination of things that you loved coming of age, when music became the soundtrack to everything you did. If
Right.
you were a boy, there was a soundtrack. If you went to parties and clubs, at that age where everything was so exciting, then there's a soundtrack to that. And those soundtracks are back in here somewhere. And so when
Yeah.
you make your own music, you're going to have all of that stewing in the back of your head. It's not a conscious thing where I'm like, oh, I want to write a song that sounds like the Runaways, or I want to write a song that sounds like Patti Smith. It's just there. It's stewing and steaming in your head, and it comes out with your own thing.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. It's they were my favorite completely, and I'll still say that the Runaways were the greatest band of all time. And that's just me saying that.
Yeah, no, I think that they're one of mine. They're definitely one of mine.
Cool, cool. And just to have that influence, when you were in high school, did you know you wanted to be a rock star?
I could never sing, and I was told that constantly. I wanted to be an actress, and I was for 20 years. So
Hmm.
my goal out of high school, which I ended up doing, was to go to Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. That was
Nice.
I had to do that. You had to be there. And I did that. I was there for 2 years, then HB Studios for 2 years. So I was acting for 20 years. And the thing was I was a good dancer. It's really
I
good at
bet.
I was good at jazz. Um, and I would pass the acting audition, I would pass the dance audition, and then I would get up to sing and you could hear the snickering. You could hear people
Oh,
laughing. And so when I first started out as a poet with a band, and I would speak my words, but I always had a rock band behind me. And
nice. Patty.
Yeah, exactly. It was very, very similar. And I remember when I ran into Henry again, because I've known him since I'm 15, and I ran into him 17 years ago. We found each other on Facebook and we got together, and he was still playing with a band. And it was a cover band. It wasn't anything like real serious. It was just to keep doing music and make a little money. And he said, I don't understand why you don't just sing your words. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not a singer. And I got drunk one night and I
Good.
out on the street. I came out of this club and I was out on the street, and the street had good acoustics. It was raining and things were echoing. And I just was wailing some song. I can't even remember what it was. And he was like, yeah, you could sing. And I realized I'm not a Broadway singer. I don't have
Oh,
a first voice, but I'm a rock and roll singer. And I
yeah.
difference.
There is definitely a difference. And then I think the other part of the picture that I have to point out is you were free when you sang versus the constraints of auditioning, or when you're in a high school, you're singing to impress people. When you don't give a holy moly, you're free.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Especially
Yeah.
with drinks in me at the time. So very free that night. And it's funny because when we first started, we would do covers because I hadn't written songs. I had a lot of poems, but I had a published book, but I had not written songs. And I found songwriting compared to poetry. And I know people say sometimes it's the same, and that is true. But I find songwriting very easy. Uh, Almost too easy. And I felt like I wasn't challenging myself. But then what I really started to enjoy doing was taking a poem and the challenge of turning that poem into a song, which really is like serious editing and changing things. You
Yeah.
have to chop up a poem and rearrange it and change a lot in it to make it into a song. And that worked for me. So a lot of
Yeah.
songs are things that came from poems that I wrote.
Cool. Yeah. Poems have a different kind of structure than songs. Because I I don't have to worry about exact syllables for songs, and I don't always have to worry about meter. Well, I should be concerned about meter, but it's less. Yeah. Uh,
You have a Bob Dylan. So Bob Dylan is his song lyrics are poetry. He's one of the
sure.
rare people. Patti Smith as well, Jim Carroll. There's
Oh.
people that have been able to do songs that are also lyrics and poetry all in one.
Mm-hmm.
But as a poet, I never cared about, like rhyming, or I was more of a street poet. And as a songwriter, I can handle spouting out the words with different syllables in each line. But Henry playing guitar and harmonizing with me, that becomes a problem. So I try for his sake to try to keep some sense of meter so he can play both guitar and sing backup.
Right.
Makes it easier for him. But I'm always saying, stop worrying about syllables. He'll go, oh, that line has too many syllables. You got to take out a couple words. I'm like, if I take out words, I change the meaning. And that's the only thing that we sometimes go back and forth on. But um, we've just been working together for so long that we just write so well together. We're like a well-oiled machine now, the
I
two.
hear you. I hear you. Well, you did right. And and can we find any of your poetry online? I should have asked. Down the line, we'll do another interview, or for sure. But I should have asked if you had. I should have asked you to bring a poem, but I didn't. I'm sorry about that. Next time I will.
Fine. I have a book out called Outside Girl that was
Mhm.
published by Poets Wear Prada Press, from in Hoboken based. And
Nice.
that's still available on Amazon. The other two books are no longer in print, so those are no longer out there. But a lot of the work from them, if you just, I guess, if you Googled my name, some of those come up in magazines and poetry journals.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's plenty out there that you could still find. I like to these days, since I don't have to worry about publishing and privacy and all that stuff, and um, a lot of publishers don't want you to put your stuff out before they publish it. I don't have to worry about that right now. So every now and again, I'll throw something on Facebook as a status. I'll just write it, write to
Good.
status if I feel like it's coming up and I got to let it out. Uh,
Right, right.
and I do still want to do another book. I just don't have time right now. I was in the process of writing another book, had everything printed out and ready to bring to the publisher, and we disagreed on whether it would be a full length or a chapbook. And so I said, you know what? I really do want a full length. Just before I die, I'd love to have a full length. More, nobody buys them, but I'd like to have that for my daughter. So
Right.
I still think after the band is done, at some point in my life when I'm trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life, I'll probably put that book out.
Yeah, I hear you. You will. You know what? You will. I mean, I had this little pile that used to be bigger, and if I spend an hour on my pile, most days, at least 5 days a week, I'm lucky, and I'm making I'm making headway in it. Of course, I add more
I
ideas to it.
your pile. It's your pile.
Yes, it's my pile of
Stuff.
work. I'm going to move the camera for a second.
Okay.
See if we can get this. No, we can't. Oh well. And I knocked over my microphone with it. Oh well. Well, it's a pile. It's about
This
8 inches tall, and it's got paper to work on. But it also has like this part of the year, I'm working on my taxes. So there's a notepad for me to do my maths with for the taxes. So it's what it is.
it's you have organized chaos.
Yeah, it's my assignments. So, but everywhere else is everything's in boxes.
This
So yeah, or yeah, you know what it is? Organized chaos. Oh well.
I love that
Right.
organized chaos.
You're right. With assignments to every day,
There's
and I get to through half of them, so that's good. But by the end of the month, I get through most of them, so that's pretty good.
they say really creative minds often are just disorganized to some extent in their surroundings. And I've always been a really creative person. I've always been just in the arts somehow, but
Mm-hmm.
one of those obsessively organized and tidy people to the point where I was worried about myself and I started saying, okay, I'm going to force myself not to vacuum today because it really
Oh wow.
started. I'm not going to make the bed today. And it was so difficult. But I do it now and then just so that I don't become really neurotic about things. Because I'll vacuum my house, and if I see a piece of lint on the floor, I'll pick that piece of lint up. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
care. But
Right.
I just like, no, you're not picking that up. I have to tell myself, nope, you're not doing that. I'm afraid that I really will go into some dark place where like you won't be able to live with me. You won't be able to be around me.
We probably wouldn't be compatible house cleaning wise. Because I'm a little bit more loose. I know that there's a problem and I just work on it bit by bit.
Well,
Sue Ann Nivens
it
from, huh?
gives you time to live your life. Like I clean every single day. I feel compelled to do something. My house is so clean, you could eat off the toilet. And it's like I don't need to do this every single day. And I should be out like, walking my dog and enjoying that. Or,
Right.
like one of my favorite things was when I bought a vacuum and it had all these attachments. Oh, look at all these attachments. But I'm aware that that's abnormal. And I think that's what's healthy is that I find solace in the fact that I'm aware that that's a little neurotic, Cyndi. Like, it's okay if you don't make the bed one day, or it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, it is okay. Or if you wait till I I mean, I make my bed daily now, but I don't do it in the morning, let's say. Although if the cats aren't on it, I'll make it while they're eating breakfast. but it's part of my aerobics because what I'll do, especially now in the wintertime when it's freezing, you'll note that I'm wearing a sweatshirt, you're wearing a sweatshirt.
Freezing.
Yeah, it's this is Saturday. We're doing the interview. This interview is going to go up probably Sunday or so. Um, but it's like it's winter, so I'm have more blankets on my bed,
Hmm.
and those blankets are higher than the pile that I have to do my work on. So I run back and forth. I take all the blankets off one at a time. I spray rose water on some of the sheets and some of the blankets, and then I come back and I each time I run back and forth in the apartment, I do another blanket,
Oh,
and
that's
I
funny.
wave it like the rope
Yeah.
in the workout, your fitness. And you get
Yeah.
up at the crack of dawn for a workout, so you make your bed before you do your boot camp or what?
Not if we, like you said, if there's animals sleeping on the bed, you can't disturb them. That's a rule.
You
You're not
rock.
allowed to disturb the sleeping pets. So sometimes I'll wait till I get home, and just I feel like I have to accomplish something every day. So if I always feel like if I keep up with it. My father was a hoarder, and it was
Uh-huh.
really bad. I mean, really.
Okay.
And so I think that's where that comes from. Like, I just
It
don't want
does.
things to get ahead of me. I want to keep
Yeah.
on top of it at all times. But then there's an extreme way of becoming that I don't want to be either.
Right, right.
You should be enjoying life. It's better if I'm, laying down on the couch watching some show I really have wanted to see, and my animals are all cuddled up against me. Like, that's a moment you can't get back.
Right.
That's like, I'd rather have been doing that than making my bed. And I keep telling myself, like, you don't get your pets that long. They only, their lives go like that. So enjoy this moment and don't feel compelled to have to get up because you have a bed that's not made yet. Like, I'm learning as I get older I understand the finality of things. When you've lost a pet, and I've lost many in my life,
Sure, me too.
and you just say, oh, like, there's times I look at my dog and my cats and they're breathing and they're cuddled up against me. I'm like, take this moment in. This doesn't last forever.
Right, right.
Now
Yeah,
they're alive and they're with you and they're breathing and they're warm and cuddly, and just take the moment in, because one day you're going to be putting them down, or you're going to be, dealing with like an illness or something, and you'll say, oh, I wish I was still in that moment.
yeah, yeah. And they are the best. I mean, they are the ones that care and keep us warm on a day like today. So, how did you manage to go to boot camp today?
I
The
don't know.
7-degree
It was so
weather.
cold walking out my door and getting in the car, but I really love food and I really like eating it. And so I know if I don't do this, like, I'm a front woman. I'm kind of the face of the band, whether I like it or not. And so I feel like I have an obligation to, represent my band as best as I can. And I've always been an athlete. I've always kind of been in shape. And it's only been recently that I kind of let myself go a little bit. And my daughter,
Mm,
Mom, you've got to come to this class with me. And she's so fit. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, Chelsea. Like, I just don't think that I can do what the girls your age are doing. She goes, and she bugged me for a year. So finally, just to shut her up, I said, okay, I'll go. I'll go the one time and she'll be happy I tried. And I went, and I just like, wow, this is hardcore. Like, this is really using your body in a way that I don't do on my own at home.
uh-huh.
I have a home gym. I've got a rowing machine, which is good. I've got a treadmill. I've got weights. I've got that ball. I've got all this stuff. But when you're on your own, you're not working as hard. If the phone rings, I'll answer it. I'll stop.
Sure.
But when you're in that class, man, you are working so hard. And it's hard and you want to cry sometimes, but then when it's over and you're leaving, it's like, I have the whole rest of the day ahead of me now, and I got that part done.
Ah,
I have a
I
whole
see how you're looking at it.
Yeah, like I got that out of the way first thing in the morning, and now I have the whole rest of the day if I want to lay around and watch Netflix. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the guilt is gone. Now I have an excuse to be able to relax a little bit.
That's funny. That's funny. I like how you worded that. I I love to exercise, but I'm also one of those people that waits till the evening to do my moves, not in the morning.
If I wait till evening, I just won't. I won't.
Oh, okay. I see. I
Yeah.
see.
No,
I-
I'll be like, oh, I'll exercise later when I get back after lunch, and then I'm like, I know that's it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Now it's too late in the day. I just want to sit down. I ran around. I did errands. I did this thing. I did that thing. I got to feed the animals. I got to clean up after that with them. And I'm like, no, I want to sit down now and do
Got
nothing.
it, Simons.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions. I need to find out what TV shows you're watching. I'm watching Homeland right now. I seem to go for the shows that have the women as the president or women as a country singer or now a woman as a spy. What are you watching?
I watched this incredible movie last night that I have wanted to watch but wasn't sure what it was about. And it was called Hamnet. It's this up and
Oh,
Irish actress that's just brilliant. Her name is Jessie Buckley, I think. Um,
mhm.
I finally sat down and watched this movie, and it is just riveting. And it turns out it's about Shakespeare, and it's about how he came to write Hamlet, which sounds boring as hell, right? But the way that this movie was done and the way they told the story and the acting, everybody's role in this film was award winning level.
Cool.
And you just sit there and you just go, wow. Like you're just the emotions and the story was so it was so overwhelming and it was done so well. And for people who think, oh, I don't even understand Shakespeare, it's not like that. They're telling the story of Shakespeare's life, how he met his wife and what happened to their children, and he married this woman who was a forest witch, which was really cool.
Of
Uh,
course.
yeah, she was a
Anne
forest.
Hathaway was her name, right?
Was
No?
it Anne Hathaway?
I think her name was, yeah, I have to check that out. And I think they had a kid named Hamnet.
They did. They had a kid named Hamlet. I don't want to tell you the whole.
Okay,
It's really, you need to watch this film. I guarantee you that this will be one of the Academy Award winning tops. It's going to win a ton of awards, but the
cool.
acting is tremendous in it. And it's very touching. It's very, very touching.
I believe it. And you're not the first person that's told me about it. I wish I could remember who. Um, might have been Linda Veens. I'm not sure. I have to go back and listen to my podcast.
I binged because everybody's been telling me to watch this forever. I know I'm late to the game. I could not stop watching Nurse Jackie. I just couldn't stop. I was so angry at this woman that I'm not angry at the actress, but I was so angry with Nurse Jackie that she just could not stop screwing up her life. She just could not stop. And no matter how many times she was given another chance, she just screwed her life up again. And there must have been 7 years of seasons, and I just
Uh-huh.
did it in a week. I could not stop watching.
There was a show that I watched that I was like just completely disgusted with how I'm trying to remember her name. But she was a publicist in Washington, D.C., and a black woman, and she just kept screwing up every gig she got. And she was going out with the president. I wish I could remember. Scandal. That
Scandal. I didn't watch that one.
oh man, she was a screw up, complete screw up all the way through the series.
Have you watched Nurse Jackie?
Not yet, but I will because
Yeah.
I heard that she
Yeah.
was like psychotic or something.
It, Everybody wanted me to watch it, and I'm just not like I can't sit still long enough to watch a lot of series. If they don't grab me, my attention span is like a flea.
Right.
And this one grabbed me. First of all, Edie Falwell. I mean, I just love her.
Yeah, Jersey.
She was so good in this role that you just couldn't stop watching her. And you forgot that she ever was in The Sopranos because this is a totally different character.
Right.
But you're like, girl. Like you've been given more chances than anyone I've ever known. Like it becomes real to you. You feel like you know her and she's
Right.
a friend, and you're just like stop, just stop. And then you'd watch the next episode and she'd come out of like, this situation. I don't want to give it away where she was okay. Everything was good. She had a great husband. And then she just messed it all up again. And you're like, and she knew it. She would say, like, I'll mess up everything good that ever comes into my life.
Aw.
And like, and I would discuss with my girlfriend. Like, I have a girlfriend. We'd call each other up and discuss every day. And I'd be like, I can't stand how she lives. We would talk about her like she's a real person, you
Like
know?
you're gossiping.
Yeah. But she was so good in the role, you forgot that she wasn't a real person.
Right. I do know, I mean, I know real people that screw up or make bad decisions, and I get it. I totally get it. And but I screw up still, but not like she does.
Right.
So I will definitely check out that show, and I'm gonna check out Hamnet for sure. There's a important concert coming on the 21st of February that I hope people check out. Tell me about where Parkside Lounge, New York City, the Cynz. What's up?
Thanks for bringing this up because it's important, really important to me. We're officially doing our album release party on February 21st, and it's an early show, which I am starting to really enjoy a lot. I like getting out of these clubs early and getting home from New York City earlier, uh, especially in the cold weather. So it's a nice early show. It starts at 6. Puma Pearl and her band are opening the show with she's very interesting. She's also a poet who does her poetry with the band. And her and I go back about 14 years now. We actually met because I ran a poetry music series with music and poetry. And she was one of my guests. And I met her back on the MySpace days. And so we
Wow.
ended up doing all these things together in New York. We would do Cornelia Street. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, right. So Puma's a pretty big name on the scene. And so she has attended, she's been part of a lot of my album release parties over the years. And so she will be opening the show. And then I wanted to get somebody fresh in as the opening band, like the main opening band. And it's not that I didn't want to share the night with locals, but I just wanted to bring in some fresh faces since it's an album release and I need
Mhm.
people to hear, our band and hear our music. And I called my friend James Mastro, and I don't know if you know James. Do you?
I yes, from Rachel Sage and from the
Yes,
Bongos.
yes, exactly. So James has a shop, a guitar shop, directly across the street from my bar in Hoboken. We've been business neighbors for 25 years. And of course, I know James from the music scene as well. But I called him and I said, can you recommend anybody, maybe from Hoboken that would be a good fit? And he said, you've got to get this band called the Draculas. They're like they're really starting to get a lot of, uh, talking about, and they're really good. So my manager contacted them, and it just so happened that they had the date free. And I had a Christmas party at my bar, and my friend Debbie was invited. Who does she walk in with? But she said, I want you to meet my friend. She's the bass player for this band, the Draculas. I said,
Cool.
you're playing with us on the 21st. She goes, oh, that's you. Like it was crazy. But I'm really looking forward to this night. I think it's going to be a great night of poetry, rock and roll, and it's short and sweet. And I think the whole thing goes from 6 to 9:30, I believe, 9:30.
Wow. Saturday night, early night.
We will
Yeah.
have our albums, vinyl, and CD. We will have T-shirts. We will have all our other records that we put out. And I'd really like people to come. And we're going to do a lot of songs from the new album.
Cool. I'm really impressed and I love this. Excellent. Definitely. Parkside Lounge, New York City, 6 p.m. show,
Yeah. And there is
record
a ticket
release.
link. There is a ticket link online. If you wanted to purchase tickets, just to be sure that you're going to get in, you could still show up at the door and take a chance and purchase that
Yeah.
way and just get in at the door. That's up to the individual.
We'll post the ticket link below
Okay.
in the show description. Absolutely.
Okay.
So cool, cool. What bar in Hoboken? What's your bar in Hoboken?
My bar is called Mulligan's, and it's a sports pub. We do have sometimes events there. I have done some shows there with bands like Palmyra Duran, Spank and Charlene. Uh, Usually during the art and music festival days, because
Mm-hmm.
the whole town is nothing but music that day. And we've had comedy nights. We do have some arts events, but it's known. It's a pretty well known sports pub, known for its European soccer
Cool.
leagues and all that stuff. We have like a lot of the big league games that my daughter was named after the Chelsea Football Club in London, so
Oh,
my
how
daughter
cool
is
is that?
Chelsea. Um, yeah, so it's a pretty popular spot. If you're in your 20s and 30s and you live in that area, you've probably been in there already.
Cool. And
And
Hoboken is a great town. I've
it
been there.
is
It's New Yorkers can get to Hoboken just by taking
10
the
minutes
PATH
on the
train.
path, 10 minutes on the path train. It's
Yeah.
very easy access. And Hoboken is a small little town, very historic, home of Frank Sinatra and baseball.
And
And
the bongos.
and the bongos, yeah. But it's so artsy. It's such a hip vibe to it. I
Right.
just can't afford to live there. It's that expensive to live there.
Oh, wow. Did not know. Sure. Well, let's move to New York City or Jersey, the rest of the state. I hear you.
Yep.
So, anything you want to add?
I'm just so delighted that we finally had this chance to talk, because you and I have, we made contact like about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and you've been so good to stay in touch and everything, and it's just I'm very happy we had our chat.
Well, you too. I really love your energy, and we've got so much in common, and I'm a fan. So
Thank
I
you.
may not know the power pop punk scene, but I sure do like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I'm one of those eclectic music people that I like all kinds of music. I'm not open to one genre of music. So I'm always looking to, like I told you, I was a big Renaissance fan. I loved Renaissance. Um,
Yeah.
but for me, good music is good music. I know the kind of music I like to write that I feel inside me, but I
Yeah.
also appreciate music of so many different genres.
I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you. I think I write more show tunes and folky stuff and R&B, obviously hip hop. But I'm a big country music fan and everything else in between. And then as a publicist, I just tend to stick with songwriters and folk and prog rock.
It's
So
all rock and roll. There's so many different names now. There's I don't
true.
know, something glue, and there's so
What?
many weird like genres now. And really at the end of the day, it's just rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, we did this whole niche marking because there really are journalists and radio shows that are geared to just X, Y, and Z. Like Jersey Rock, Jim Testa is a friend of mine, but I could never write for him because he's more focused on your music.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. So I love Jersey rockers, so I'm always speaking up for you guys. And New
Go,
York City
okay.
rockers, which you are
Okay.
too.
I think I loved I actually today on the radio, Meg Griffin played Bruce's new song right before she played us. And it was the first time I heard it. I'm like, wow, this is kind of classic Bruce.
Yeah, and he doesn't pull punches on that one. He
Yeah,
is
no,
like
not at
he's
all. He
deadly
really,
on this one.
what does he have to lose at this point in his life? He's already
Yeah.
made his name. He already has his career. He's raised his family. He's already there. He's got nothing to lose. He's not going to lose his popularity no matter
No.
who tries to make that happen. It's not going to happen. He's got
Yeah.
his fan base. They love him, so he could do whatever he wants now.
He's telling the truth.
Right. Exactly.
So
He's got nothing to lose.
yeah, I should have asked you because you're in Jersey and people from New Jersey I think get excommunicated if they don't like Springsteen. So I'm joking. I'm
No,
joking.
no, I'm laughing because he, you know, if you grew up in Jersey like I did, especially I was like the little girl who's, was down on the carousel in Asbury Park all my childhood summers. And, I mean, I saw the Bruce Springsteen movie. I'm like, every detail of that movie I could relate to. And, he basically was like a staple of being from Jersey. There was Asbury Park, a Knish, Cotton Candy, Bruce Springsteen. I mean, it was just like, if you were from Jersey, these were just things that were part of your life. And I think, everybody was into Bruce until it came down to politics. And they're like, oh, he's supposed to be like all about America. And what they don't realize is when he wrote Born to Run, I don't care how many times they use that song in movies about patriotism or whatever, that song was about Vietnam vets coming home from Vietnam and how they were treated. It wasn't a patriotic song at all. And,
Born in the USA, yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're really a Bruce fan and you don't even understand the lyrics he wrote, how big of a fan were you anyway? And now that he's expressing views that differ from your own, it's kind of like, I'm not one. Look, if you, with the exception of Kid Rock, because I never liked him, I just don't like him. He just bothers me. Okay. But it's got nothing to do with his you can have whatever politics you want. That's called freedom in America.
We're supposed to be different.
We're supposed to. Thank you. We're supposed to be different. I don't have to like yours, but I have to respect your right to them. And people miss that point a lot. But I don't cancel somebody just because their politics different.
No, don't.
I just don't buy the music if I don't like the music. It's very simple.
I actually like Kid Rock. I know that Grand Funk is open for him. And I know that Don is a moderate, Democratic, former Republican. And it is what it is. And everybody's music is different. I don't like the fighting. And I think sometimes artists or musicians will create drama to bully someone for the popularity.
They create drama to get publicity.
Yeah.
Remember Oasis and Blur went into that big, they were like at odds with each other and fighting, and it was all just so prefabricated, and nobody got that. And it was all done just to bring up fame for them and publicity. And I'm like always thinking, who should I fight with? But there's no, I don't like fighting. But look,
start a love fest.
If we were to pick apart songs and we were to cancel them because of their lyrics, we wouldn't have a lot of the old songs like, sniffing around in the seafood store, one-eyed cat sniffing in the seafood store.
Right.
It had nothing to do with a cat nor seafood. We all know.
I didn't know that.
One-eyed cat is a dude's, sniffing in the seafood store, which is, and it's funny, I never knew that until it was explained to me. And music, especially rock and roll, always was rebellious and daredeviling and sexual and going against like what we weren't supposed to do. That's always how it's been. And if you stop comedians from being able to do their comedy, if you stop songwriters from writing what they want to write about, if you stop artists from painting or photographers from photographing subjects you don't like, if you stop that, then you stop the arts. And the one thing I learned when I was a model for this artist, who was one of the leaders in the fight against censorship, he was very big in that movement. Mm-hmm. He made these dresses on us that were made out of string, and they were knotted in places that society deems you're not supposed to see. So my crotch was thickly knotted. My breasts were thickly knotted, so you didn't see anything you shouldn't see. And I had these garments had more material than a bikini, way more material than a bikini. And yet people would go, oh, like they would be so aghast at seeing his model. There must be things going on in that loft that we don't know. And, and what is he doing?
Oh, God.
And he was so respectful. But the point of these things he called nudismos was that censorship is useless because you can't censor somebody's mind. So there I was, completely covered, more than a bikini would cover me, and people still saw me naked.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show that what people see is what they see in their mind. So censorship
True.
is useless. Like, you didn't know what those lyrics meant. When you're a little
No,
kid,
I didn't.
so when you're a little kid, you don't know what certain things mean. And there's a lot of, like, even in Bugs Bunny, there was a lot of double entendres that only adults
Oh,
got. And the kids didn't get it. It didn't hurt us. We didn't grow up messed up from Bugs Bunny or
no.
the other thing. But yet there was some real dirty jokes in those Bugs Bunny cartoons that we didn't get as kids. And it was the same thing with rock and roll. They could play these songs on the radio, and you and I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant till somebody took me aside and said, "Come on, Cyn, you have to know what that
Absolutely.
means." And I didn't. And they explained it to me. You can't censor art. It is the death of art to censor. And so I
Absolutely.
give every artist their right to write about, paint about, draw about, photograph, whatever it is that they want to do. And if I don't like it, I don't have to buy it. I don't have to go,
Exactly.
I don't have to view it. I don't have to go to their shows. We have to stop this thing where we cancel people. It's ridiculous. If it's bothering you,
Oh yeah.
don't view it.
Yeah. And I think there will come a time where people will learn. There are billions of people on our planet and millions of people, billions, a few billion in the United States. We're not supposed to be the same.
No.
Yeah.
And again, like I said before, I don't have to like your politics. I don't have to like your views about certain things in life. I don't have to like the people that you hang out with. I don't have to like
Right.
the people that you support. I don't have to like how you raise your kids or treat your animals. However, I have to respect, as far as nobody's in danger, of course, but I
Right.
have to
Exactly.
respect your right to vote. I say this all the time. There's certain people I would never vote for. But if you did, I am not going to stop being in your life because you did. The reasons I would stop being in your life is if you supported violence or something like, this
Mm.
things that, okay, there's a line that you crossed.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
But
you
other than that, my mother's friends, I used to come home from school and my mother's best friend and her would always have coffee. So if I smelled coffee, I knew Annie came over. And they would joke and fight and bicker and laugh over politics. They were completely different politically, but they were the best of friends. And that's how it used to be. And it's only
yes.
recently, maybe because of the internet, because people are so brave behind computer screens. It's only recently that people are literally dropping family members. I have two sisters that are very different than me. I'm not going to drop my sisters. I
Yeah.
don't like some of the things that they believe in. I don't like some of the things that come out of their mouth, but they're my sisters.
No, and it's also worth a discussion. I mean, to this day, I'm still friends with people who are not politically aligned with me. And to this day we talk about it, and there is massive civility.
And you talk in person, face to face.
Or on the phone, because
Yeah. So you
my
hear a voice.
brothers
It's
are
personal. You
out
hear
of
a voice.
state.
If you're behind a computer screen and you're not hearing the intonation of the voice,
Truth.
you're not seeing somebody's eyes or face. You're
Absolutely.
you're brave in a way that's cowardly. You could be mean and
Yeah.
nobody has to know who you really are. If you don't use your real profile picture, you're hiding. And those are the people online that I find dangerous because
Yeah.
somebody posted the other day about, it's time for us Democrats to start amassing weapons and guns. And, I wrote back and I said, like preparing for a civil war. And I said, listen, America's very spoiled. We've never had war in our lifetimes here. Not in our lifetimes. I've been to Bosnia. I've been to Croatia. I've been,
Okay.
my husband is from Ireland. I have personally, I've been to Prague where I went to the torture museum and saw films that just
Oh,
saw the torture chambers where they tortured people. we don't know what real war looks like. We don't know what it's like for our homes to be bombed out or our kids to be
No,
blown
no,
away in front of us. That reality, I think people feel like they're talking about a game that they play on PlayStation. The
they
reality
are.
is none
They
of us
don't know.
want that. None of us want that.
No.
Not if you really know what war really is like. And I think
Yeah,
we need to calm the hell down.
yeah. We're creating violence on
Yeah,
certain levels.
we
I know
are. We
that.
all are. And if anybody thinks they're innocent of it, I don't care if you are conservative, Republican, liberal, whatever. This fighting online is
Yeah.
not helping. We're angry. And anger
Yeah,
will lead to neighbors turning on neighbors. And it's not
that
the world.
happened.
We should not be creating this kind of a world that we're leaving behind for the kids because they got to clean up our mess.
Yeah, there are parents that do poison their kids. I know that firsthand
Right.
from being assaulted, you know. So,
Yeah. Wow.
uh, so,
So we need to end on a happy note. So the happy note is that I have hope. If you didn't get up in the morning with hope, you wouldn't get out of bed. And my hope is just that everybody understands that we are all humans. And if I needed to donate a kidney to you and it matched your blood type, I could donate a kidney to you. It doesn't matter what your politics are.
right.
We're all humans with our organs in the same place, and we could share each other's blood if we were dying, and we could, we're really all from the same family. At some point back in time, way back, we all came from the same beings. And that means doesn't matter what our pigmentation is, we are all related and we're all the family of humans. And so if we could just calm the hell down and stop letting politicians lead us and puppet us and
Absolutely.
manipulate us, we are stronger together against them than they are to us.
Absolutely. And I have
That's
a
where my
feeling,
hope lies.
my hope too, and I have a feeling that at the end of the day, we should all just, I'm going to say, sit together and watch some Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get all the double entendres at this age.
Thank you for this. This was wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.